The endless grasslands stretch under a stormy sky. A horde of Mongol warriors on horseback thunders across the plain, led by Genghis Khan, 40s, fierce, scarred, with piercing eyes. Dust kicks up as arrows fly and swords gleam. In the distance, a walled Chinese city looms, Genghis Khan roaring to his men brothers of the wolf. The heavens have granted us the wind at our backs. Today we shatter their walls and claim their souls. The warriors cheer, ululating wildly. Chinese soldiers tremble on the battlements, firing futile arrows. Mongol catapults hurl flaming boulders, breaching the gates. The Mongols charge in, merciless, slashing, burning, instilling pure terror. Mongol warrior one grinning savagely let their screams echo to the eternal blue sky. A young Chinese peasant girl hides in the shadows, witnessing the carnage. Genghis dismounts, surveying the chaos. Genghis Khan to a captured enemy general, kneeling you built empires on silk and stone. We forge ours in blood and fire, submit or become dust. The general spits defiance. Genghis nods, the warrior beheads him swiftly. The girl gasps, but a Mongol spots her. Mongol warrior to a survivor. Shall we enter, Khan? Genghis Khan pausing, thoughtful, no. Let her live, let her carry the tale of our wrath. Fear is our greatest weapon. It conquers before the blade falls. The girl flees into the ruins as the Mongols pillage. The horde rides off, leaving smoke and silence. From the steppes they rose, a storm of hooves and arrows. The Mongols, conquerors who bent the world to their will. Their terror a legend etched in history. The script vividly captures the essence of the Mongols' rise as a formidable horde, beginning with a sweeping panorama of the vast Mongolian steppe, where endless grasslands undulate beneath a brooding, stormy sky. This setting is no mere backdrop. It symbolizes the harsh, unforgiving environment that forged the Mongol people into resilient nomads, perfectly adapted to a life of mobility and survival. At the forefront rides Genghis Khan, portrayed in his 40s as a battle-hardened leader with fierce features, deep scars from countless skirmishes and eyes that pierce like arrows, embodying the unyielding spirit of his tribe. He leads a thundering horde of warriors on horseback, their mounts kicking up clouds of dust that mingle with the flight of arrows and the glint of sharpened swords. This opening sequence immediately establishes the Mongols not as disorganized raiders but as a disciplined, unstoppable force, drawing on their nomadic heritage to outmaneuver sedentary empires. The steppe, often called the Sea of Grass, was the cradle of Mongol power. For centuries, various nomadic tribes roamed these lands, herding livestock and engaging in intertribal warfare. Genghis Khan, born Temujin around 1162, rose from humble beginnings amid betrayal and hardship. Orphaned young after his father was poisoned by rivals, he endured slavery, exile, and the murder of kin, experiences that honed his strategic genius and unquenchable ambition. By uniting fractious clans through alliances, marriages, and sheer force, he transformed scattered nomads into a unified horde. The script alludes to this through Genghis's rallying cry, "Brothers of the wolf, the heavens have granted us the wind at our backs." Here, the wolf motif evokes Mongol mythology, where they trace descent from a blue-grey wolf and a fallow doe, symbolizing ferocity and endurance. The eternal blue sky, or Tengri, their supreme deity, is invoked as a divine mandate, justifying conquest as heaven or deigned destiny. This nomadic strength is highlighted in the warriors' seamless coordination. Mongol horsemen were masters of the composite bow, capable of firing accurately at full gallop, a skill drilled from childhood. Their armies moved with lightning speed, covering up to 100 miles a day, sustained by mare's milk and dried meat. Unlike armored knights of Europe or infantry, heavy Chinese forces, Mongols prioritized mobility, using feigned retreats to lure enemies into ambushes. The script's depiction of the horde charging toward a distant walled Chinese city foreshadows their campaigns against the Jin and Song dynasties, where such tactics breached seemingly impregnable fortifications. Genghis's leadership was pivotal. he implemented a merit-based system promoting based on ability rather than birth, and organized his army into decimal units Arban 10, Jaghun 100, Mingit 1000, Tumen 10,000, ensuring efficient command. The divine mandate woven into the narrative reflects historical reality. Genghis proclaimed himself universal ruler in 1206 at a grand Kurultai assembly, where shamans interpreted omens as signs from Tengri. This spiritual legitimacy galvanized the Horde, framing expansion as a holy imperative to subjugate the world under one sky. From the steppe, they exploded outward, conquering vast territories from the Pacific to the Mediterranean, creating the largest contiguous empire in history. The script's emphasis on this rise underscores how environmental adaptation, innovative warfare, and charismatic leadership turned nomads into world shakers. Yet, this power was rooted in pragmatism. Mongols adopted technologies from conquered peoples, siege engines from Chinese engineers, administrative systems from Persians, enhancing their conquests. The opening scene, with warriors ululating wildly in response to Genghis's roar, captures the psychological unity and fervor that propelled them. Their terror was not random but calculated, as later scenes imply, but it all stemmed from this foundational surge from the steppe. In essence, the rise of the Horde was a testament to human adaptability, where the windswept plains birthed a force that redefined empires, leaving an indelible mark on global history through sheer nomadic prowess and an unassailable belief in their destined supremacy. The script's depiction of the siege on the Chinese city walls masterfully illustrates the Mongols' unparalleled brutality and tactical sophistication, transforming a routine conquest into a symphony of terror that underscores their dominance. As the scene shifts from the open steppe to the fortified battlements, Chinese soldiers are shown trembling in fear, their arrows raining down ineffectively against the advancing horde. This contrast highlights the vulnerability of settled civilizations against the nomadic onslaught, where static defenses crumbled before mobile warfare. The Mongols, under Genghis Khan's command, employed a blend of psychological intimidation and innovative engineering that set them apart from contemporaries. Central to this brutality is the use of advanced siege tactics, such as catapults hurling flaming boulders to breach the gates. Historically, the Mongols weren't initially siege experts. They adapted rapidly after early campaigns. During the conquest of the Jin dynasty in the early 13th century, they incorporated captured Chinese engineers to build trebuchets, battering rams, and mobile towers. These machines, often fueled by naphtha or gunpowder precursors learned from Islamic and Chinese sources, allowed them to dismantle walls that had stood for centuries. In the script, the flaming projectiles symbolize not just destruction but a calculated escalation of fear. Fires spreading chaos, forcing defenders to divide attention between combat and survival. The Mongols' efficiency stemmed from their meritocratic army structure, where specialized units handled artillery while horsemen exploited breaches. The charge into the city is portrayed with merciless slashing and burning, warriors instilling pure terror through acts of savagery. Mongol doctrine emphasized total war, no quarter unless submission was immediate. Cities that resisted faced annihilation, men slaughtered, women and children enslaved, buildings razed, to deter future opposition. This terror tactic was strategic, as one warrior grins savagely, declaring their screams should echo to the eternal blue sky. It echoes historical accounts from chroniclers like Giovanni, who described rivers running red and pyramids of skulls. Such displays weren't mere cruelty but propaganda, spreading rumors that amplified the Horde's invincibility. In battles like the sack of Beijing in 1215, similar atrocities led to voluntary surrenders elsewhere, saving Mongol lives and resources. Ruthless efficiency shines in the warriors' coordination. Trained from youth in horsemanship and archery, they executed feigned retreats, encirclement, and rapid assaults with precision. The script captures this in the Horde's seamless invasion, where individual acts of violence coalesce into overwhelming dominance. Genghis's dismount to survey the chaos adds a layer of calculated leadership. He wasn't a berserker, but a strategist who used brutality as a tool. Capturing the enemy general and offering submission before execution exemplifies the Mongol ultimatum: yield or perish. This scene draws from real events like the fall of Kaifeng, where prolonged sieges combined starvation, disease, and assaults to break spirits. The young peasant girl's hidden witness to the carnage personalizes the horror, humanizing the victims while emphasizing the invader's detachment. Her gasp at the beheading underscores the psychological impact as terror rippled beyond the battlefield. Mongols often spared artisans or useful captives, but the script's focus on indiscriminate pillaging reflects their economic pragmatism, looting to sustain the nomadic lifestyle. This efficiency extended to logistics. Lightweight armor, multiple horses per warrior, and supply lines of herds ensured sustained campaigns. In broader context, these sieges marked the Mongols' evolution from steppe raiders to empire builders. By 1227, at Genghis's death, they had subdued northern China, setting stages for further expansions under successors like Urgide and Kublai. The brutality wasn't aimless. It facilitated the Pax Mongolica, an era of relative peace and trade across Eurasia. Yet, the script distills this into visceral imagery, where advanced tactics and ruthless acts blend to create an aura of inevitability. The burning city, silent ruins, and fleeing survivors encapsulate how fear, wielded like a weapon, conquered more than swords ever could, reshaping the medieval world through calculated savagery. Script's portrayal of psychological warfare reaches its pinnacle in the moment where Genghis Khan spares the young peasant girl, instructing his warrior to let her live so she can disseminate tales of the Mongols' wrath. This act isn't one of mercy but a calculated maneuver, underscoring how fear served as the Horde's most potent weapon, often subduing foes long before physical engagement. As the girl flees amid the smoldering ruins, her survival ensures that whispers of atrocity precede the Mongols' arrival, eroding enemy morale and prompting surrenders without costly battles. This scene encapsulates the essence of Mongol strategy: terror as a force multiplier, transforming rumor into an invisible army that conquered minds before bodies. Historically, the Mongols mastered psychological operations with ruthless precision. Genghis Khan, understanding human psychology from his own tribulations, institutionalized fear as doctrine. Chroniclers like Rashid al-Din documented how Mongol campaigns incorporated arrow storms, not just for lethality, but to create auditory and visual pandemonium, whistling arrows designed to terrify. Before sieges, envoys delivered ultimatums: submit and thrive under Mongol rule or face annihilation. Cities that resisted, such as those in the Khwarezmian Empire during the 119-1021 invasion, were raised exemplarily. In Samarkand and Bukhara, survivors were deliberately released to recount horrors, mass executions, enslavements, and the infamous skull pyramids that dotted landscapes as macabre warnings. These acts amplified the Mongols' reputation, leading to phenomena like the Mongol Terror that caused armies to disband upon hearing of their approach. The strategic use of fear weakened enemies preemptively by disrupting logistics and unity. Rumors of invincibility sowed doubt among defenders. Soldiers deserted, leaders negotiated hastily. In the script, the captured general's defiance and swift beheading before the girl's eyes personalizes this. His death isn't gratuitous but a spectacle meant for propagation. Genghis's line, "Fear is our greatest weapon, it conquers before the blade falls," mirrors historical sentiments. The secret history of the Mongols, the empire's foundational text, hints at such tactics, where shamans and spies spread omens of doom, blending superstition with strategy. This psychological edge allowed smaller Mongol forces to overpower larger ones. For instance, in the Battle of Badger's Mouth 1002, against the Jin, feigned retreats lured pursuers into ambushes. But pre-battle intimidation via scouts' tales fractured Jin cohesion. Beyond immediate conquests, this warfare fostered long-term submission. Conquered peoples, hearing exaggerated accounts, often embellished by the Mongols themselves, integrated into the empire more readily, paying tribute to avoid reprisals. The Yasa, Genghis's legal code, formalized mercy for the compliant, contrasting with obliteration for resistors, reinforcing the binary choice. In Europe during the 1041 invasion of Hungary, King Belleroman IV fled partly due to panic induced by Mongol agents' disinformation. The script's focus on the girl's gasp and flight humanizes the ripple effect. One witness could demoralize thousands. This approach wasn't unique to Genghis. Successors like Hilogu in the 1058 sack of Baghdad employed similar methods, where the caliph's execution sent shockwaves across the Islamic world. Yet, it was rooted in steppe nomadic culture where reputation deterred raids. By weaponizing narrative, the Mongols expanded efficiently, covering vast distances with minimal resistance. Their terror tactics, while brutal, enabled the Silk Road's revival under Pax Mongolica, ironically promoting trade amid fear, induced stability. In the script, as the Horde departs leaving smoke and silence, it evokes how silence itself became terrifying, the absence of life signaling Mongol passage, a legacy where fear's shadow outlasted the conquerors. Genghis Khan's leadership in the script is depicted with a depth that elevates him beyond a mere warlord, presenting him as a strategic visionary with a profound philosophy rooted in nomadic ethos. Dismounting amid the chaos of the sacked city, he surveys the destruction not with gleeful abandon but with calculated poise, addressing the kneeling enemy general with words that cut deeper than any blade. "You built empires on silk and stone. We forge ours in blood and fire. Submit or become dust." This line crystallizes the core contrast between Mongol values and those of settled civilizations like the Chinese, who amassed wealth through trade, agriculture, and monumental architecture. For Genghis, true power lay in the intangible loyalty forged in battle, the purifying force of conflict, and an unyielding will that turned adversity into strength. His nod to execute the defiant general is swift and emotionless, underscoring a philosophy where mercy is tactical, not sentimental, and where hesitation invites weakness. This portrayal draws directly from Genghis's historical persona. Born as Temujin in the late 12th century amid the fractious tribes of the Mongolian steppe, his early life was a crucible of betrayal, his father's poisoning, his family's abandonment by their clan, and his own capture and enslavement by rivals. These trials instilled a pragmatic world view where survival demanded innovation and ruthlessness. Rising to power, he unified the tribes not through inherited right, but through merit and vision. In 1206, at the Kurultai Assembly, he was proclaimed Genghis Khan, universal ruler, a title reflecting his ambition to impose order on chaos. His leadership style was revolutionary. He dismantled aristocratic privileges, promoting officers based on talent rather than lineage. A lowly shepherd could rise to command a tumen of 10,000 if proven capable, fostering fierce loyalty and efficiency absent in feudal systems. Philosophically, Genghis embodied the nomadic contrast to sedentary empires. While the Chinese Jin dynasty relied on silk roads for commerce and stone walls for defense, Mongols valued mobility and adaptability. Horses were their lifeblood, enabling rapid strikes that bypassed fortifications. Genghis's Yasa, a legal code blending shamanistic beliefs with practical edicts, emphasized discipline, collective responsibility, and religious tolerance, unusual for the era. He adopted useful elements from conquered cultures, like Persian administration and Chinese siege technology, but always subordinated them to Mongol principles. Blood symbolized unbreakable bonds. Oaths were sworn over shared cups of mare's milk mixed with blood, and betrayal meant death. Fire represented purification, burning enemy strongholds to erase resistance and rebuild under Mongol rule. His strategic acumen shone in campaigns that blended deception, speed, and intelligence. Spies infiltrated enemy courts, spreading disinformation to sow discord. In the script's thoughtful pause before sparing the girl, we see this intellect at work, recognizing that a living witness amplifies terror more than another corpse. This mirrors real tactics, like during the Khwarezmian conquest, where he manipulated Shah Muhammad's paranoia to fracture alliances. Genghis wasn't blindly aggressive. He offered vassalage to those who submitted, integrating them into his empire's vast network. By his death in 1227, this philosophy had expanded Mongol domains exponentially from Korea to the Caspian Sea. Yet, his leadership wasn't without introspection. Accounts in the secret history of the Mongols portray him consulting shamans and pondering omens, viewing conquest as divinely mandated by Tengri, the eternal blue sky. This almost philosophical bent, valuing ephemeral glory over material hoards, set him apart. He amassed treasures but distributed them to reward loyalty, ensuring the horde's cohesion. In essence, Genghis's portrayal as a leader who forged empires in blood and fire highlights a timeless dichotomy: the fluid, predatory dynamism of nomads versus the static opulence of cities, a clash that redefined global power structures through one man's indomitable will. Script's concluding voiceover, intoning that the Mongols rose from the steppes as a storm of hooves and arrows, conquerors who bent the world to their will with terror etched into history, masterfully encapsulates their legacy as unstoppable forces whose brutal methods left an indelible scar on civilizations. This narrative closure, with the horde vanishing into the horizon amid smoke and silence, symbolizes not just victory but the perpetuation of fear that outlived individual battles, transforming Mongols into legends of dread. Their reputation as terror of the steppe wasn't hyperbole. It was a deliberate construct that facilitated one of the most expansive empires ever, spanning from Eastern Europe to the Pacific, influencing trade, culture, and warfare for centuries. Historically, the Mongols' legacy of terror began with Genghis Khan's unification of the tribes and exploded outward in the early 13th century. By the time of his death in 1227, his forces had subdued the Western Xia and Jin dynasties in China, setting a precedent for successors like Urgide, who pushed into Russia and Eastern Europe, and Hulagu, who sacked Baghdad in 1258, effectively ending the Abbasid Caliphate. The voiceover's reference to bending the world evokes how their conquests reshaped political maps. The fragmentation of the Kievan Rus led to the rise of Muscovy, while in the Middle East, destruction of irrigation systems in Mesopotamia caused long-term ecological devastation. Chroniclers across cultures amplified this terror. Persian historians like Juvayni described cities reduced to rubble with populations massacred to the last child, while European monks dubbed them Tartars, from Tartarus, Hell's Abyss, fueling apocalyptic fears during the 1241 invasion of Hungary and Poland. This enduring reputation stemmed from innovative terror tactics that went beyond mere violence. The Mongols employed psychological warfare on a grand scale, feigned retreats to draw out enemies, the deliberate release of survivors to spread panic, and the construction of skull towers as grisly monuments. Such methods minimized resistance. By the mid-13th century, many cities surrendered upon sighting Mongol banners, preserving resources for further expansion. The script's emphasis on their legend highlights how this fear created the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative stability from 1250 to 1350, where secured Silk Road routes boosted Eurasian trade. Spices, silks, and ideas flowed freely, inadvertently spreading technologies like gunpowder and printing to the west. Yet, this peace was enforced through dread. tribute systems and Yam postal networks ensured compliance, with rebellion met by swift retribution. The reshaping of empires extended to cultural and administrative realms. In China, Kublai Khan's Yuan dynasty 1271-1368 adopted Confucian bureaucracy but imposed Mongol overlordship, influencing governance models that persisted. In Iran, the Ilkhanate blended Persian artistry with nomadic rule, fostering scientific advancements under astronomers like Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. However, the terror's shadow lingered. The Black Death, possibly accelerated by Mongol sieges disrupting populations, ravaged Europe in the 1340s, killing millions. Literary works, from the travels of Marco Polo glamorizing their court to Russian folktales demonizing the Tatar yoke, perpetuated their mythic status. Even modern perceptions, films, games, and histories echo this duality. Barbarians who civilize through conquest, their methods a blueprint for total war seen in later conflicts. Ultimately, the Mongols' legacy endures in genetic traces. Millions descend from Genghis via his prolific lineage and geopolitical echoes, like Mongolia's vast but sparsely populated territory. Their terror, as the voiceover poetically reinforces, wasn't ephemeral. It forged a connected world where fear's architecture built bridges across continents, leaving history forever altered by the Steppe's unrelenting storm. If you've been captivated by the thunderous saga of the Mongols, their unyielding conquests, strategic brilliance, and the shadows of terror they cast across empires, then dive deeper with us at Unsolved History. Hit that subscribe button right now to unlock more enigmatic tales from the annals of time, where history's greatest puzzles come alive. Like this video if the Steppe storm sent chills down your spine, share it with fellow history buffs to spread the intrigue, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode that unravels the unknown. Your engagement fuels our explorations. Join the community today, and let's uncover the past together. A massive thank you to our incredible viewers for joining this journey through the Mongol legacy. Your passion for unsolved enigmas keeps this channel thriving. Special shoutouts to our top supporters this month. History Hound 42 for the epic comments, Mystery Maven for sharing our content far and wide, and Enigma Explorer for the unwavering likes. If you've got theories or topics you'd love us to tackle next, drop them in the comments below. We read everyone. Thanks again for watching Unsolved History. Until next time, keep questioning the echoes of history.